Hey guys, my name is Brandon and welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video. Hey everyone and welcome back to Is That More Brandon. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a review for episode 8 of I'm a Celebrity 2024. So at the beginning of the episode, Jane was happy that there was finally some sunshine in camp. Maura explained that it was her first time in a hammock and she was a little bit too used to the luxury of the other cabin. Oti said she'd be happy to give Reverend Jones her bed, and when else is she able to sleep in a hammock, presuming she obviously doesn't sleep in a hammock outside of the jungle. Colleen was speaking about a time where her and Wayne went to go meet Donald Trump, and Donald Trump said to Wayne that all of the good footballers get the good looking girls. And Alan obviously explained that finally at least there was 2 people going on trial, doing the trial together. Dean and Colleen, they were the 2 that were nominated to do the latest trial. Colleen said to Dean, "We'll do our best and we'll try absolutely everything." The trial involved one of them being locked in a ute, which is obviously just like a big car, like a Jeep, and there were stars, and they were kind of like in the back of the car, like in a locked out little room, and the other campmate had to look for tools kind of in the car, outside of the car, outside in boxes, in crates, in order for that other campmate to get the stars out of the where they were locked into. So it was Dean that was in and around the car, so he was kind of jumping around trying to find all the different tools, and Colleen was obviously kind of strapped in on her back in this thing, in like a dark space with stars on the wall, but obviously she couldn't get them off until Dean got the right tool for her to get them off. Colleen basically said to him that he had to be in this, he had to be 100% there and present. He said he was looking for tools in the offal. Colleen was kind of covered with rats and cockroaches, shouting at Dean saying, "Come on Dean, hurry up." And then finally, through the middle of the challenge, Dean had to actually get in the Jeep, close the door, covered in offal, covered in like black tar and fish guts, which was obviously his worst nightmare from one of his previous trials. In the end, they managed to get 9 out of the 12 stars, just purely for the fact that they run out of time. And a lot of the things that he was kind of like picking down weren't tools, they were just bits of tar, bits of offal. So yeah, he managed to get 9 out of 12, which was again not too bad for someone who's kind of scared of everything. But again, he was very vocal. I think Colleen had a few little shrieks here and there, but she was absolutely fine. And Dean basically said to Colleen that the 2 of them should go back and pretend that they didn't actually win any stars, saying that obviously it's quite naughty, but you know, they're going to have a semi-decent dinner on that night. We then found out the next trial was going to be called Jack and the Scream Stalk. Reverend Richard and Talisa were ruled out for medical reasons. So that kind of just involved something to do with heights, and that's kind of all we were told about that so far. Maura was talking to Danny and Jane about her life growing up. She said that she quit school, she wanted to go into hairdressing, and before Love Island, she was a ring girl for boxing matches. She had a boyfriend before going on Love Island, and she ended up searching that guy's phone, finding out that obviously he was kind of talking to other people. And she said she wasn't sure whether she should or shouldn't turn down Love Island. She thought, actually, you know what, this person's treating me a certain way, I'm actually going to go on the show and kind of get my revenge, and that's exactly what she did. And Jane replied to her saying, "You are fierce, I love it." For Kev's Wheels on Deals, it was Oti and GK, and this was actually quite a funny little challenge. They basically had to drive these little mini remote cars from where they were driven out to the right shop. They obviously had to be blindfolded, and the other person was directing them left, right, forward, back. But the cars were so tiny, and yeah, obviously they were blindfolded and they were going along this tiny little track. But it was really, really smart, it was really clever. So obviously GK obviously read out the rules, basically worked out that the registration plates give you clues for the right place. So for example, one of the cars had 2M8OS, which kind of stood for tomatoes. So they knew that for that particular car, they needed to drive to the grocery. They had CUR4TUN, which kind of stood for curtain. So she kind of thought like curtains are us, something to do with curtains. Oti said potentially fortune, GKC or fortune. So they went to the fortune teller shop and so on. So you had 10SEN1, which was tennis, XMNIZ, which was examine, or eyes, which eventually GK managed to get, so opticians. CME, B4DK, decay, go something to do with the dental clinic, and yeah, they managed to pass that. The question for the campmates back in the normal camp, which of these dances is not originated from South America? The samba, the tango, or the cha-cha-cha? They said cha-cha-cha, and they were correct. So Melvin was guessing that they were going to bring back crisps. Colleen said she was hoping they'd bring back jelly babies. And then Melvin came into the camp and announced that there would be 2 new leaders. So the two new leaders were Barry and Danny. Talisa said all good things come to an end, and she explained that if she heard musical theatre songs at 6 o'clock in the morning, she would scream. So it was up to Barry and Danny to decide the new duties for the other campmates, as obviously taken over. And they decided in the end, after much deliberation, because I think Barry obviously kind of went towards more of the men doing the heavier tasks or the more difficult tasks. And Danny did jump in and say, well, hold up. Do you want to try and make it a little bit more fair? Kind of, you know, put some of the women on other tasks, for example, like the wood and the water and things like that. And he said, I'm open to it, but it's better to put them on something else than potentially them have like struggle with the difficult tasks, which I completely understand. But then I would have said have one strong person and one not so strong person, so at least they're kind of equaling each other out. In the end, they decided for Jane and Talisa to do washing up, Colleen and Maura to do camp maintenance, which obviously included cleaning the dunny, Oti and Richard as the chefs, Alan and GK on wood, and then Melvin and Dean on water. And Jane basically said, they gave me the one job that I didn't want, because I think she'd been kind of doing the cleaning. She basically did a bit of everything in the first week, and she basically was just like, I want a bit of an easier task. But she ended up getting something that she didn't want. For dinner, the campmates had possum, which Oti said looked like chicken. And GK said it seemed like Danny and Barry don't look happy to be the leaders, with Danny saying he doesn't like upsetting people, obviously after Jane's little outburst there. Dean said that obviously Talisa tried to ban him from singing. That's absolutely not going to happen. And Barry explained to Danny that he's going to find it difficult not to be able to do things around the camp and, you know, be able to help people. For the next task, which was obviously called Jack and the Screamstalk, we found out it was either Maura or Dean. In the end, the public had voted for Dean to do the challenge, with Maura saying it sounded awful, Talisa saying it doesn't seem critter related, Jane saying it might be something to do with heights, and Talisa said that she knows it's something to do with heights because obviously she's medically exempt from that particular challenge. So that's all that happened in episode 8. So if you did enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And until my next review, thank you for watching and goodbye.